Thank you for being with us here today in Los Angeles. Welcome to the offices of the California Department of Justice. Before we get into today's press conference, I'd like to recognize some of the people who are here with me, at least from my team. And I'm going to allow my two speakers who are with me to introduce some of the people that have been instrumental in helping their jurisdictions get ready for today's announcement. And so let me begin first by recognizing a dear colleague and someone who I work closely with on behalf of the people of the County of Los Angeles, and certainly on behalf of all the people of the state of California, the District Attorney, a very capable District Attorney of the County of Los Angeles, Jackie Lacey, and a dear friend of many, many years, a colleague in Congress, and now a tremendous representative for the County of Los Angeles as a supervisor and as the chair of the Board of Supervisors, who I suspect is representing her colleagues on the board here as well, Janice Hahn. To the two of them, thank you so much for being part of this announcement, but more importantly, thank you for being part of what we are doing. With this, we have our respective teams. I would like to recognize a few of the members of that team right now before I go any further. With us today, Karen Leaf, the Senior Assistant Attorney General, who is the lead on these efforts overall on tobacco issues. Nicholas Wellington, the Supervising Deputy Attorney General, who has been supervising and running point on this matter. Jessica Marr, Deputy Attorney General, who probably has as much information as anyone on the guts of our announcement today. Not with us today, but very important, Carly Eisenberg, Deputy Attorney General. Nora Flum, Deputy Attorney General, who's been on this case since the very beginning, and Melanie Fontes-Rayner, Special Assistant to the Attorney General, who's been working these matters on health and so forth for us. Today, the state of California, joined by the District Attorney and the County of Los Angeles, is taking legal action against Juul, an electronic cigarette maker, for engaging in unlawful and deceptive business practices which have harmed Californians and are endangering lives, especially of our children. After a 21-month investigation, our lawsuit alleges that Juul targeted underage Californians with its marketing and sales practices of its nicotine addictive vaping products. We further allege that Juul failed to warn consumers of their exposure to chemicals linked to cancer, birth defects, and other health harms. Further, we allege that Juul failed to properly verify the age of its customers to prevent the unlawful sale of its addictive product to underage individuals. And fourth, we allege that Juul violated the privacy rights of minors by retaining their personal email addresses, even though these minors had failed an age verification process on Juul's website. And then Juul went on to use those emails to market product to these minors. The percentage of high school students today vaping has risen from 11.7% just 2 years ago in 2017 to 27.5% today in 2019. Think about that. Today, 1 in every 4 high school students is using e-cigarettes, is vaping. Just 2 years ago, that number was 1 in 9. E-cigarettes are small, stealth devices, not easily spotted on a desktop or in a backpack. They are often sold in child-friendly, fruity flavors using ads that appeal to young people. The former chair of the American Academy of Pediatrics Tobacco Consortium, Dr. Jonathan Winikoff, said, quote, "If you were to design your ideal nicotine delivery device to addict large numbers of United States kids, you'd invent Juul." The dangers of e-cigarettes or vaping cannot be understated, especially when it comes to the dangers they pose to our children. Exposure to nicotine in adolescence impairs memory and cognitive performance and may permanently alter the physical structure and gene expression of the brain, lowering adult impulse control and attentional performance. And of course, smoking and nicotine kill. Today, over 1,300 Americans will die from smoking-caused illnesses if they're an average day. Smoking remains the #1 preventable killer in the United States and causes over 480,000 deaths per year. And with the advent of e-cigarettes, this number has increased for our youth, and deaths are on the rise. Just last week, the CDC reported that 42 people, including 4 here in California, have lost their lives due to lung injury associated with e-cigarette use or vaping, and more deaths are under investigation. Juul's founders studied up on Big Tobacco's infamous playbook, using their documents to gain insight into nicotine formulations and advertising techniques used to sell cigarettes. To launch their product, Juul sponsored promotional events in cities across California and elsewhere to distribute free samples of Juul devices and their flavor pods to a young and very susceptible audience. The company also launched a social media marketing campaign targeting youth with dessert and fruit flavors such as mango, cool mint, creme brulee, and cucumber on platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Juul ran Big Tobacco's playbook and its plays, and the results were predictable. Millions of teens and young Americans now use their product. While Juul's profits soared, their users became addicted and their health was compromised. One of Juul's engineers said, quote, "Anything about health is not on our mind." At the California Department of Justice, the health, well-being, and safety of 40 million Californians is on our mind. In California, we will not allow kids to be lured in by deceptive practices. We will not retreat, and we will fight back. We will hold any company's feet to the fire for lying to our kids and fueling a public health crisis. And we are ready to go. Our suit was filed today. Let me now invite District Attorney Jackie Lacey to speak.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney General Becerra, for hosting today's news conference and for working with us on this and other important criminal justice issues. I also want to thank Supervisor Janice Hahn and the County of Los Angeles for being outstanding partners as we work to protect the residents of Los Angeles County from really what is consumer fraud. With me today is my Chief Deputy District Attorney Joseph Esposito and members of my Consumer Protection Division, Head Deputy District Attorney Stan Williams and Assistant Head Deputy District Attorney Hoon Chun, as well as our lead attorney on this case, Stephen Wang. Our goal today is to safeguard the health and development and well-being of children, teenagers, and young adults throughout California and indeed this nation. Unfortunately, tobacco and nicotine use is on the rise amongst young people, driven largely by vape products. We believe Juul Labs, in particular, has defied the law through the systematic sale of products containing tobacco and nicotine to persons under the age of 21. In our lawsuit, we allege that Juul failed to provide proper oversight of its sales and that the company looked the other way as underage buyers purchased vape products. We cannot stand by and risk the health of our children and our grandchildren. We must use both education and enforcement to protect them against these new health threats. Juul and other nicotine product makers must be held accountable if they knowingly and through omission of action allow the sale of nicotine products to underage buyers. The lawsuit filed today alleges multiple violations of the company. When receiving online orders for vape products containing tobacco, Juul failed to check the names and dates of birth of purchasers against government databases. Juul regularly shipped products to fake addresses or post office boxes, or obviously fake names. The company also sent vape pods containing nicotine to teens who had made fake warranty claims for replacement pods. As a result, children, teenagers, and young adults were able to avoid legal and parental oversight, break the law, and purchase Juul's vape products. The lawsuit alleges that this practice resulted in a public nuisance by causing underage nicotine use and addiction. LA County has been particularly affected, and we're demanding financial redress to compensate local health and public awareness programs. Our lawsuit demands that the company pay for the prevention of underage tobacco use and the cost of treating underage addiction in affected communities. We are also asking a court to require Juul to change this business practice to prevent the sale of vape products to underage buyers in the future. California and Los Angeles County have long been leaders in the fight against tobacco and nicotine use. This lawsuit takes the fight to a new frontier against a new threat. We will stay vigilant. We will aggressively prosecute offending vape and tobacco companies, and we will win this battle. Thank you.
Chair of the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Janice Hahn.
Thank you, Attorney General Becerra, District Attorney Jackie Lacey, for the leadership that you are both demonstrating as we take on this growing problem of teen e-cigarette use and the companies that have orchestrated it and profited from it. This is one of the most serious public health crisis we face, and the eyes of the nation will be on us here as we fight this battle in court. You know, for decades, it seemed like we were heading in the right direction as a society regarding cigarette use. Cigarette use, especially among young people, has been hitting all-time lows. In fact, just 1.7% of high school students in LA County report that they smoke cigarettes. It was hard work, but through sustained public health education, hard-fought victories in Congress and in court, we were able to stop Big Tobacco's insidious advertisements and the grip they had on a generation of nicotine addicts. Unfortunately, with the introduction of e-cigarettes and the leading distributor, Juul, we're getting that trend reversed. 1 in 10 high school students now report using e-cigarettes. And this is not just by chance. Juul has systematically targeted the youth market with everything from the design of their product to the content of their advertisement to the platforms that they put their advertisements on in social media. This has become a public health crisis of Juul's making. On top of being highly addictive, nicotine is a carcinogen and a toxic chemical. Exposure during adolescence can harm brain development. This lawsuit is just the latest action the County of Los Angeles has taken to combat this crisis and protect our young people from the harmful effects of tobacco and nicotine. In September, we approved a landmark ban on flavored tobacco products and launched a massive public health campaign to educate young people on the dangers of vaping. And it's so important that we're all acting now. We cannot let these e-cigarette companies create an entire generation that suffers from the same terrible health effects of nicotine addictions that generations before them have suffered from. I really want to thank everyone here and acknowledge our incredible legal team at the County of Los Angeles, our county counsel, who's working on this case. This team is led by Assistant County Counsel Scott Kuhn and includes Andrea Ross, Danielle Vappy, not Vapey, which I thought would have been really interesting, Candace Rushton, Joseph Mellis, and Vanessa Miranda. And I want to acknowledge our county public health department for all the work that they're doing every day to educate the public about this crisis. Our county health officer, Dr. Muntu Davis, is here representing our public health department, and he'll be here to answer questions. Thank you, everyone, for being here.